Wow.
Okay, so basically what I'm gonna
Oh, let's hook to the sound for Zoom.
yeah. So then when they speak, they whoever's on Zoom can hear because it's also a speaker. So you'll be able to like talk to whoever's on Zoom and out here, and then this will be your slide deck.
Okay.
And then I'll be on the computer with Zoom over in the front and then let people in for you. So you
Okay.
can just talk and see what you need to do. So
And can we set it as like guest, not speaker view, but I want to see who's in the room. If I can.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Where you can see them on the side?
Yes. Well, currently it's just me, us right now. So I'm sure you could like extend it.
Will they drop down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should be able to. Okay, cool.
There's like gallery view and speaker view. I want to
Mhm.
make sure I have it on gallery view. Because then it will drop down for sure.
Pretty sure we are.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'll pop in and see what it does. It should extend.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. And if you need the charger, it's right.
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
do you arrow? Let me try it. No. No. How are you going back and forth on this?
And then click on,
Is it the click?
and then ooh. There we go. It just needed to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Perfect. This is weird. The camera on me is weird.
Do what you gotta do.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you. Shoot. No. There we go. I figured out how to make the grid.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, if you hover over that, it gives you the options. But I don't think they were there until somebody
Somebody
else.
popped in. There you go. Perfect.
How are you liking your new area where you live?
Yeah, actually, so far it's been so good. So I can't complain.
Good. Now are you thinking of Millersburg?
Yeah, we're moving great.
Yeah. It's pretty over there.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
Quick to I-5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you drink wine?
I do occasionally.
The winery, there were several out there, but the Lamp Valley Vineyard one, if you haven't been,
I've not, but I've been by it.
they have a 5-star chef. The food is incredible. Best burger you'll ever eat in your life. Aside
Okay.
from the wine, which is
I do eat burgers.
fun. Yes, all the food. I should have. Okay. All the food there is incredible, but we are, and they have truffle oil fries.
Okay.
They have this, it was a avocado, no, artichoke pepper hot dip with pita to die for. They have really good, like I said, 5-star chef. So it's a beautiful experience. It's not far from your house. It's beautiful to go out, view the grounds, sit there, have a nice lunch, have a glass of wine or not. But it's, yeah, I recommend it.
To check that out.
And
Yeah,
then
I haven't-
right behind you on Ankeny Hill, Ankeny Vineyards, they do live music on the weekends.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can like look at their website and see what's playing. You can also make reservations. They have fire roasted pizza,
It is better
and it's so good.
though.
It's so nice to be out there on a Friday night or Saturday night listening to this cover band, right? Playing songs you know and have the best pizza of your life. Like, it's just phenomenal experience.
I'm definitely a pizza eater.
I love a really, really good pizza.
Mhm. Yes, it has to be.
It's not worth the calories.
Exactly.
The bread. We like American Dream pizza because their dough is sourdough.
Mhm.
Everybody here loves American pizza. I mean, I'll say more Corvallis. The Corvallis thing for sure.
And
It's locally owned.
is that the one that's over,
There's two.
is that the one where you can go up on the roof?
Yes, the Crow Bar, rooftop bar. Yes, downtown. That's one.
I almost had pizza.
Yeah.
I went in, I was kind of running a little bit late on everything I was trying to get done that day. I went there and it was just packed. It was like, there's no way I'm gonna get out of here.
Oh yeah. One of the things I love is that you can buy pizza by the slice.
I saw it.
And then, so they have this lunch combo of the salad by the slice, and me and Lyle can literally share that. Like, we cut the piece of pizza in half, and we split the salad. It's like so much food. So yummy. I come and say night. I am. Yay.
Oh, it's so cold in here now.
I know. And in my house, I freeze. But then if I adjust it, then we get too warm.
Yeah.
That time of year, but it's not near as warm here. It's 7, right?
Exactly. It's 116 right now.
It's what?
116.
Wow.
116.
My cousin lived down there for a while. And he came back for 4th of July and it was last year. And it was like 72, which is pretty cold for 4th of July.
Yeah, yeah. July is our hottest month in many years.
He was in a sweatshirt because he was used to Arizona weather.
I jog in sweatshirts for here every morning.
Really. It is pretty darn cold in the morning though sometimes.
First morning, I went out to jog. I was in t-shirt and shorts. Got outside and I was like, nope, I'm back inside. That was in May. Yeah,
May is
we're not,
pretty bad.
and we're not doing that.
May was pretty wet here. We had a pretty soggy May this year. I feel like it's been nice though, not having that much rain since
Mhm.
middle of June. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's been a nice summer. I'm not complaining.
This bad boy.
It's just in case.
That's cute.
Yeah,
I know.
used it in my car for my daughter, but she'll be there right now.
I know the desks have little space heaters.
Really?
Yeah, the front desk. Oh yeah. It gets so cold in here. How you doing? No one's online yet.
What you do?
Do you guys have your workbooks?
I do.
I do not. Laura emailed it to me, but I have yet to print it. I'm taking notes on that.
Okay, perfect. I would copy this, but it's two-sided, which is so awkward to copy. It's above my skill set. Not gonna lie.
I understand.
2 to 1, you know, like it's the whole, like, which section is that in on that copier?
Well, it wouldn't be so bad if every printer was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to share this quote because we're talking about lead gen strategies today. And coach, I'm a coach. So I'm the OP, if you didn't know that. And what that means is the operating principal broker. Now, Michael, I'm sure you kind of have an idea what that means, but for McKinsey's sake.
No, it's fine.
No, okay. So other brokerages, traditional brokerages, they'll have their operating principal broker usually does compliance, but we in Keller Williams Land, we separate that. It means I'm one of the owners and I manage more. I manage everything else.
For a lower cost.
Right? Yeah. And then, but I also help with compliance in that I'm a principal broker and I work with the reviewing broker, which is Angela, on things that come up. And also I'm available to any agent. So if they can't get a hold of someone, they can always call me. Because I do know. I've practiced real estate for 20 years, had a number one team, now I'm partnered with a number one team. And the other piece of what I do, though, what I was saying is I'm a coach for KW Real Estate International.
Okay.
So Gary started a coaching company because he so believes in coaching way back. It's called MAPS, which means Mega Agent Productivity Systems or Solutions. Depends on who you ask, but MAPS. So I'm a MAPS coach. I have been a MAPS coach for 6 years. I coach currently 30 businesses around the country and Canada. I have a couple of Canada clients. And really, truly coaching is my passion, which is why I also wanted to become the OP because it's a coaching role. Leaders are coaching leaders, right? The leadership philosophy of today and going forward of the future is leaders are coaches, not managers. And so I coach Laura in my role. So, and the team. And I really love it. And I earned the right to become a MAPS coach with my own personal business. The qualification is 75 units a year, 2 years consecutive. I blew past that number and then beyond that number and became a coach. So I have experience, I have knowledge, and I also stay apprised of all the laws and rules and changes and contracts. So again, even though I'm not the reviewing broker, I am a good backup to her or a resource for everyone. So, one of my coaching colleagues, Mike Bastian, he was teaching a class that Sarah and I got to go to last week. It was week before last. And he was mentored by the late Sonny Bono. And if you're younger than me, you might not know who Sonny Bono is, but he was an amazing songwriter. In the late 70s, was married to Cher, the artist Cher, who many people do know her. And they used to have a show called the Sonny and Cher Show. When I was a kid, I watched that. That was the best, so fun. And so my friend Mike was mentored by the late Sonny Bono because he has since passed. And he mentored him on wealth building. And he shared this quote with us. He said, Sonny was like, if you want to create wealth for yourself, whatever your definition of wealth is, if you want to have wealth in your life, get in the center of wherever money exchanges hands. So he listed main five things where money exchanges hands. And what do you think the number one thing was? Real estate, right? So we are in the center of where money exchanges hands. Now, I want to apply that later to some of the choices you guys are going to be making for lead gen. However, and for the market, because when a market shifts, it only means what shifted is where the money is actually exchanging hands. Because think about it for a minute. Everybody we know mostly lives in a house, has housing, right? Shelter, right, is a basic need. As we said, right? One of the top 5 things where money exchanges hands is housing. So when a market shifts, it just means a different people group is where you're focused on for it to be in the center of that. Right? That's something to keep top of mind as we're going forward. We're talking about these lead gen strategies. The second was do what no one else is willing to do. So Mike shared that he was with this before he was with KW. He started out small little brokerage, and of course, being mentored by Sonny Bono. He said, "Okay, I'm going to pick real estate." He's like, "Okay, so you sign up with a company," because he didn't know. He was like, "Here's a name that's in our community. I'll join that." So he signed up with them, and then he proceeded to do number two. He went around and interviewed all the agents. So there weren't that many, but in the office. And he said, "What's the one thing you hate doing?" So he compiled a list of the things they hated doing. Some said door knocking, some said forced up by owners, right? You get the idea. So he wrote this down and he set out to be the master of it. And funny story is he went to his broker, his owner, and he said, "I want to do these things. How do I get successful at them?" And the broker literally replied, "That's a good question. When you figure it out, come tell me."
Definitely.
Right? So obviously he knew he was on his own for that. That's what sent him down the rabbit hole of finding MREA, moving to KW. He did become and condos. Condos was the third thing. So he started mastering those things: door knocking, forced up by owners, and condos. Nobody was selling condos. His first year in real estate, he sold 42 condos because the other agents didn't want to touch them. Yeah. He said, "Now, my price point wasn't very high," he said, "but my hustle was." And he said, "I learned a lot," right? And so he went out and he set out to become the master of those three lead sources. Hello. Welcome, Barbie. Okay, so I'm just sharing a little bit about a quote from Sonny Bono. Get in the center of where money exchanges hands. Do what no one else is willing to do. Master that. Become the best at it. Okay. So we have people joining us, which you guys can see. Okay, good. But I'm in your way, right?
No,
You
I can see. Well, I can see.
Mackenzie, can you see the slides? Okay. I'm like standing. Like, okay, let me move. There we go. Is that better? I want everybody to be able to see the slides at least. Okay. All right, welcome, Barbie. And we're going to start because it's 9 o'clock and I'm starting on time. It's actually 9:03.
I'll tell if that's low or not. It's shitty, but
Hey, Barbie, can you mute yourself? There we go. Some background noise. And Barbie, if you have a question, unmute yourself to ask a question when it's time or what have you, but just for sake of echoing and stuff, everyone on Zoom can stay muted for now. So today's class is capture more leads, right? I mean, who got the business and didn't realize it was not about selling houses, but about lead generating? Anyone? I did. I mean, when I first got in business, my biggest concern was like knowing things about houses. And I'm like, I don't need to know about the house. I'm not the inspector. I'm a general contractor. I'm a builder. But I do need to know about people, right? Which was so good for me. It was good news, right? Because I didn't have to know if the siding was soft. But I did get to utilize my skill in personality and behavioral skills and people's, right? So that's actually good news for me. But for many, it's a little bit of a revelation, right? So you guys have been talking about lead generation, right? Generate leads, grow your database, capture leads with open houses. Did anybody do open houses?
I did one this week. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to do them every week.
Good.
It's a little tough right now. Not really.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Barbie, I know, did an open house yesterday as well for an agent up near where she lives. Barbie lives in Tigard. And actually, it's a non-KW agent. Now, she used to be a KW. She's independent now on her own. And my daughter helped connect to them. But there are options. Okay, and we want to discuss that, right? So if you, this is not an open house class, but if you want some tips on getting more open houses signed up, I can help you with that. And also, it's a system, but it will work, okay? All right, so today's portion of the lead generation actually wraps up this whole section on lead generation, which is capture more leads, okay? And really, one of those things to master, right? Like master it. When you master lead gen and capturing leads in your chosen sources, and we're going to talk about that, you'll never run out of business resources. There won't be a question if you're going to hit your goals, your financial dreams, your freedom number. That's exciting, right? Do you have a personal vision for something in your life in the future that will help you every single day come in and do these activities we're going to talk about today? I want you to think about that because I'm going to wrap up with that when we finish today. What's your personal vision?
It won't be my dream home.
Your dream home? Okay. Michael, do you have something?
I do.
Okay, good. All right. We're gonna dive into that a little bit. I'm sure you guys probably talked about that day one as well. I know that mine will leave that off. So okay. So we're covering capture more leads. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Do you guys know about the success system?
I would have to ask which one.
Right. For this class.
Yeah.
Okay. The success system is looking at, here, but the recommendation of activities, right? Your daily activities every day while you're participating in this class, right? That's the success system they're talking about for this, which is your contacts, previewing properties, doing open houses, adding people to your database. One might be writing handwritten notes. If it's not, it's a good one to add. Okay. So share with me what maybe wins or challenges, if you will, that you've experienced since starting the course and doing some of those success activities.
I think the biggest challenge for me is consistency.
Okay.
Being able to get, I mean, it's hard to develop and keep a routine right now. Doing all of the and basically for doing all the things you need to be doing.
Oh,
Because like for instance,
I appreciate you sharing that.
yeah, as we're talking about, you know, my goal was 3 open houses a week.
Yeah.
And I have days I've set, those are the days I'm going to do them, but getting them scheduled is kind of a challenge. It's the same thing. I have times where I've scheduled the door knock, but sometimes other things end up conflicting with that. So yeah, just everything you know you're trying to do is like,
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, so that is a good conversation around self-management is what I'll say. A lot of people call it time management, but in reality,
You don't manage that.
we can manage.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. We don't manage time, but we can manage ourselves. Right. So I appreciate you sharing that. And honestly, that is a common thing that we all grow into and get better at when we're entrepreneurs. Okay, consistency. How about you?
I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but keeping up with communication on any leads, just having like between getting ghosted and then just continue to not bug, but just talk to several people like consistently, I think.
Yeah.
Just to keep it in the back of their mind that I'm an agent. I can help them if they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I love that you bring that up too. And the next session that we're going to be diving into is lead follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah. And well, it starts next week. Always keep actually Wednesday and Friday should be, keep every lead and then follow up with leads. And then I'll be back next Monday with strengthening relationships, which helps with both of those. Yes. And working through, I know these next sections talk about the system for follow-up. And at the end of the day, there's a reason we say the fortune's in the follow-up, right?
Mhm.
It literally is all about the follow-up. In fact, in my career for 20 years, there's probably 10% of the business I closed maybe was ready right away when I talked to them, but 90% of all those other deals were nurtures, right? We're following up and building that relationship. And it really does look like having a system, like a system that you can follow. Okay. All right. So those are good things. I'm just making it up because I would love to talk about some steps at the end. We have time as a coach to build consistency. Okay. And it is not going to involve color coding your calendar. I promise you that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
One phrase that I can't get that.
Color coded calendars are wonderful, and they're not the root. They're not the root to solve what you want to solve for, right? To give you the result.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how beautiful your calendar is. There's something else that we can. Okay. All right. So great. Thank you guys for sharing. Okay. Okay. Who wants to read this?
You love people, but at the same time, you haven't yet learned love hunting for them.
Right?
There's truth.
Yeah, there is. When you read that or hear that, what comes to mind?
Specifically, like,
I'm going to say Elmer Fudd. Anyone know? He's a hunter. And I'm
He
old.
is. That's yep. That's right. Only he never gets the rabbit. So maybe we need to channel a more positive visualization for you, Melissa. Because we want you to get the rabbit. What were you saying, Mackenzie?
I think just like the act of being like going and reaching out to those people, and you might know you love those people, but you haven't tried to like hook them into your business and try to reel them in that way yet.
Ooh, now we're in fishing.
Yeah.
Fishing metaphor. I love it. I love that one too. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I would have to kind of agree with Mackenzie. It's the issue of, getting over the having to actually go talk to strangers who didn't invite you into their lives and be like, hi, I'd like you to talk to me for a few minutes. And not only that, you don't know at what moment in their life they're at when you meet them.
Yeah.
So
100%.
because they may be a nice person, but when they yell at you when you're standing in front of their door, maybe they're just having a bad day. When I knock on doors, sometimes I can hear the conversations going on inside.
100%. I love that you shared that, which I will take one step further. That's why, honestly, you can, with 100% assurance, know whatever reaction or response you're getting has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with whatever's going on in their life that day, that moment, that minute, and nothing to do with you, which allows you to not take it personally. Be supportive. Offer help, right? Imagine that. Imagine somebody comes to the door angry, and you take a step back and you can feel that energy like, no, I just didn't want to, interrupt your day. Only stop by to invite you to this open house, but I won't be intrusive. But just curious, is there anything I can help you with today? Imagine that. You don't be there for you. You be there for them. I'm only coming by because we know people like to pick their neighbors. But I'm sensing you're not having such a great day. If I could help you in any way, I'd be happy to. Right.
That's good.
And even if you don't say that, I won't be intrusive. I just did, your neighbor didn't want me to invite you to your open house. Have a great day. Right? You can feel people's energy and you're not. There's no one making you take anyone's bad day on. So make the choice ahead of time to never take anybody else's bad day on. Right? But I love that you brought that up because that is actually a really important point when we're looking at strategies for our chosen strategies for lead capture. Okay. So great. So for today, our goal is to gain a deeper understanding of how to create, and I love this word, disseminate, execute on lead generating messages, and then be able to expand our referral strategies. Okay. So we're going to hone in on that first. Okay. Hard time with this box in my way, so let's see if I can adjust it a little bit. I just want to make sure. Sorry. No, I'll put it over here. Does that change anything for you guys? No. Okay. All right. So we're talking about today prospecting versus marketing, more sources, and then we're going to talk about systems that work, gold mine of referrals, and capturing every lead. Okay. Okay. Your number one job is to find ways to get in the path of motivated buyers and sellers. Number one, get in the path of motivated buyers and sellers, which takes me to our quote, right? Get in the middle of where money is exchanging hands. So, as I said earlier, every single market has its opportunities. Really does. It's just figuring out in the way the market landscape is today, who or where is the opportunity? Okay. So keep that in your mind. Right. So in lead gen, we're dealing with our message and our method. Message is important because it's what will attract those motivated buyers and sellers that we were just talking about, right? Your message must match your market, obviously. And you probably, if you've been around Keller Williams for a minute, if you haven't, I'm going to tell you, we have acronyms for everything. We really need a whole acronym cheat sheet on the wall somewhere. MOFIR is one of our acronyms. MOFIR. Sorry. Make offer for immediate response. Yeah, no, the S isn't necessary. But we say MOFIRs because we want, implies multiple. MOFIRs. Make an offer for immediate response. So whenever you're thinking about, last time, Crystal taught on social media, right? Your social media posts, you want them to be relevant. Want it to be whatever is relevant in potentially the buyers and sellers' heads and minds, or speaking to questions lingering in the news today. And then that enables you, based on your message, to make some kind of offer for immediate response. What would that sound like? Let's share some examples of that.
Well, I might be getting a little bit ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm a little passionate about.
No, go ahead.
But so, assuming you know who you're marketing to. So, like, for instance, if you're marketing to people who are for sale by owners.
Yeah.
To send somebody that to post something about interesting piece of information. A for sale by owner is 10 times more likely to end up in a lawsuit than someone who's represented by an agent.
Yeah, true. True.
You know, and that is some, you know, that could generate conversation.
I love that. So what I love that you just shared, Michael, too, is you're using a really powerful strategy of a pain, something that could be potentially painful, cause them pain, or somebody that sees that post or message somewhere may have experienced and it reminds them of that pain. And then the mofer invites them to what?
So you make that headline, and then the next thing you would say is, for a free report on 10 easy ways to avoid those pitfalls.
Yes. So the opportunity comes to give them pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. If you have been so bold, and if you haven't, this is a strategy we use in coaching too: pain versus pleasure. Most people are motivated out of pain. They're trying to go away from pain rather than towards pleasure. But the concept works well together. Here's the pain point, i.e., you could be liable for lawsuits, litigation, could potentially cost you thousands of dollars and losing your home. Or you could click here and read this quick thing, right?
Yeah.
Pleasure. Yeah, I love that. That's a good example. Anyone else? Linda, Barbie, Mackenzie, any other example of a MIC offer for immediate response message? I will share some.
I thought of the
Go ahead.
offer for valuation of their home could have an immediate response. Either they are or aren't interested.
Yes. Do we need this? Hold on one second. I don't think we need the TV sound.
No, because the speaker doesn't on phone.
Okay, Melinda, good. You mentioned using a listing, right, as an offer. Was that correct? Now can we hear her? Did I just mute
You
everything?
say that might be.
Tim, speak to us, Melinda.
I was just saying about like offering to do a CMA for a potential home seller to kind of gauge their level of motivation.
Yes, that's a good one. Thank you for repeating that. We were having this weird feedback on the TV, and now we can hear you well. Thank you. So CMA. Now, side note, that's a great answer. CMA is a acronym. So I want to share a tip. Be very clear from the perspective of somebody who doesn't do real estate every day, what your offer might be, right? Some people are marketing. I knew before I got in real estate, because I had a marketing background, that what a competitive market analysis was. But if you were to say that in plainer language, Melinda, how might you say it? Did we lose you? Maybe.
I think I kind of lost you.
Okay. So CMA, right? Offered to do a CMA. And that's
Right.
a great message and lead capture. And now I'm going to ask you, could you reword it in plainer language for your specific seller? What if they don't know what the acronym CMA means? How else might you say it that could attract them?
Would you like me to do a comparative market analysis for your home so you can see what your equity is in your property?
There you go. Home, equity, and property. That's what they're going to focus in on, right? Do you want to know how much equity you have in your home? Let me say this to you guys. Here's what I want to say. Make it as simple as possible. Curious what your home would sell for today? Right? I want you guys to practice staying out of realtorese language and say it as plain as possible. Now that is a great offer, Melinda, a great offer. And we do get seller responses to that. We do capture sellers with that offer. That's a good one. Anyone else? Any others? Okay, let me share a couple. When a house just came on the market, right? Are you looking for a home in this neighborhood or similar? Contact me for a list of homes now available. Simple. Keep it simple. Interest rates. Maybe you talk about the most painful thing right now to most buyers and sellers. Here's a word we've been throwing around like crazy. You might recognize it. It's called affordability. Would it shock you if I said that I believe affordability is actually better now than it was 2 years ago?
What would shock me? I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. So what's your definition of affordability? Say that. Contact me today to find out how affordable houses actually are. How about just saying houses are more affordable today than they were in 2020 and 2021? What's the answer to that question when they call you? Mackenzie, how are houses more affordable? Maybe I'll ask Michael because you just started and I went there in the past. How are houses more affordable today, Michael?
Well, because interest rate goes up, prices go down.
That's one way. I want to have you guys do a different calculation in your head real quick. Right now, a buyer can offer full price, negotiate repairs, which could be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. So write that down, $1,000 to $5,000. They get an appraisal and they don't have to cover the appraisal gap, which could have been anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 in the market we've been in between here in Portland. Okay. Also, guess what? They didn't have to come to the table with, on average, between $30,000 and $75,000 over asking. Do you hear me? So add all that dollars up compared to the extra dollars you're spending on the interest rate for the month-to-month payment for the next couple of years before they can. One thing, most buyers would rather keep more money in their pocket and be able to spread some dollars out of month-to-month over payment. That's reality. Also, to remember this, they do shop payments. Right. So because of that, we kind of got to get their mindset into it, to take them out of that mindset for a minute and say, when you pay $100,000 over asking, what does this cost you over time? But when you pay less and get to negotiate repairs that aren't going to come out of your pocket later, saving dollars in your pocket, that money savings, think about that money savings that you didn't put in your down payment, your negotiated repairs, and the appraisal gap, and let's earmark that for the extra payment so you can refi in a couple of years. Now, doesn't that affordability landscape change? Here's a coach tip. I want you guys to get this because agents are missing this. You will stand out as a professional if you do this one thing I'm going to share with you right now. I'm not even kidding. Show them the numbers. They visually have to see these calculations and the difference in cost. They visually need to see what waiting and renting costs them. They visually need to see everything you're telling them. Why? Who knows the answer?
Because we hear what we see.
Because, that's a great way of saying that. I like that. I'm going to tell you something. I'm an auditory. I pretty much have an audiographic memory. If I hear it, I remember it, right? But 80% of the entire planet are visual. There's hardly, like, you can just almost guarantee the person sitting next to you or across from you or on Zoom or at your appointment is visual learner. Quite possibly an auditory and could be a little bit kinesthetic. These are our three main types of learning. And yet, even though this is something that people understand and know in general, we often, as agents, do most of our educating, relating to the transaction, the process, everything verbally. And then we wonder why they say, you didn't tell me that 6 weeks later. So let's fix the problem. I call it, it's the math professor philosophy, right? And you can just shorten it by saying, show your work. This philosophy actually applies in several areas. It's not just okay for us to have the right answer. It's very important for us to visually show them how we got there. And when we can, guess what? That actually adds up to dollars and cents in their pocket. It adds up to their dream for their family. It adds up to their lifestyle change. When we can show them, the dots connect. And honestly, when you master helping people connect dots, you can sell anything, you can do anything. Okay. It's my favorite thing. All right. So match your market, match your message to our market, make an offer for immediate response. And as Michael, as you shared, right, the way we can match to our message to our market is understanding our target audience and market conditions, right? So we talked a little bit about market conditions in our message just now. Target audience in this market, who is our seller? Who is our buyer? Melinda, you might know this. Who are the majority of your sellers? What's the demographic of the seller today?
The majority of mine are either people who have to move for one reason or another. They're moving into assisted living. They're moving to be near their kids. They're moving because a job changed where they want to live. And then I also have, because of my age, I guess I attract a senior downsizing thing that's going on. Although, yeah, a lot of people are hesitant because they don't want to move into something smaller and pay a higher interest rate. But lots of people with good equity don't have to worry about that. So I guess that's my summary.
Melinda, you nailed it. You guys, I'm going to share a statistic with you. You may not know. 75% of residential homeowners in the US today are baby boomers. Isn't that wild? That's a statistic from the NAR. 75%. Who's our seller audience? Who are they? I mean, it doesn't take but simple math to figure that out. And what Melinda just shared, assisted living, moving to the kids, downsizing, right? And then that what makes it that other 25% will be life changes, right? Like she said, they have job changes, divorce, even deaths, adding kids to the family, all the reload. That's going to fit into the other 25%. Okay. A great opportunity that Melinda just mentioned, and I want this golden nugget to pass, is being able to take the conversation she just said. We have a low interest rate, downsizing becomes a problem to them in their mind because higher interest rate. They need to see the math. And if you struggle with it, just sit down with your lender. Let's do some calculations. Let's put them on a spreadsheet that turn into PDFs, right? That show, yes, but you're paying interest rate on this amount. You can buy down the rate with this much of your equity. You can put this much in a fund that pays that additional interest down until you get, right? Like there's so many things to help with the calculation because at the end of the day, they still want to have that low maintenance house, have that downsizing experience, be ready for the next level of move. Be next to the grandkids, right? So again, it's about reinventing affordability. It is affordable to them. In fact, it's most affordable to them. Okay. By the way, a lot of baby boomers have an opportunity before they sell their home to take out a secondary mortgage like i8 called line of credit to purchase their small one, which would have a lower interest rate as well, and then sell their home, pay that off. There's so many ways. There's so many ways to create affordability for whatever that scenario is. So we're talking about who our target audiences for sellers. 75% of residential homeowners in the US today are baby boomer demographic. Wow. Right. And I had asked Melinda who her sellers were, and basically almost everyone she mentioned was in that age group. So that's our seller opportunity, or our main one, not our only one, but our main one. Now, who is the buyer of today?
First time.
First-time home buyers. That's right. That's one of our buyer opportunities. Now that one's challenged.
It is challenging right now, yeah.
Yeah. However, the news is that millennials that weren't buying, they weren't buying up until this season are now our main target audience for first-time home buyer or secondary move up, right? So they're at that place where maybe they put school and career first, and now they're ready to buy that home and they didn't invest yet, or now they didn't, but now they're having family. And here's the third statistic with that group, millennials. They are very entrepreneurial minded and savvy, and they are quickly becoming our biggest investor group. That's an important fact to know. You want to attract some business, get in the business of speaking the language of millennials, right? Because they're going to build wealth. They're going to do it with or without us.
I've seen a lot more videos about like real estate investing and how great it is for building your wealth. And I've also tried to do that as well, but I think that's reaching that generation, and
It is.
just feed, I think, is right behind them too.
Yeah, Gen Z's, they don't make up the workforce yet.
Yeah.
But they will.
Yeah.
They will. So just think about it that way, because two things that are true about millennials and Gen Zers, with maybe a Gen Xer, I'm like, you did not think this stuff, by the way, but is they think that they're not going to do things like their parents. Like that's a new thing, but it's not. But that's their goal. And honestly, they're the millennials' parents, biggest holders of debt in the country. It is, and it isn't. It helps the economy. I mean, in some ways, right?
Well, and it depends on what kind of debt.
That's true.
That is leverage.
Debt is leverage, right? I won't say the average Gen Xer is debted outside of their capacity to love, but the average millennial is not, right? Aside from student loan debt, right? So it's interesting because Gen Xers were trying to keep up with their baby boomer parents.
Yeah.
But millennials and Gen Zers are like, I don't have to do it that way. There might be a better way. And they're not wrong. They're not. My daughter, case in point, millennial, she has 8 properties. She's working on her way to, have, $1 million in net worth. She's 30. Right? Now, you want to find and connect with the group that want to be like that, and create your own investor group. That's an audience, by the way. Little tip on that: the investor audience actually always grow it. Investors don't ask themselves, "Is the market a good time to buy?"
Yeah.
Professional investors ask themselves, "When is my next buy?" Because it doesn't really matter. They know. As long as they can make the math work out, they're in it. Okay. All right. So we have an idea in this market of who are actual targeted audiences. Is that helpful? Right. Now we can start making our message match that, and our offers match that. Okay. And some strategies that we're going to talk about going forward, we'll tie back to this. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to talk about the method. Sorry. Okay, never mind. we already talked about the method. We're going to dive into the method on this, the rest of the class, basically. And if you haven't read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which we fondly refer to as another acronym MREA, if you haven't read it, read it. And if you have read it, I want to make a suggestion that you put it on your calendar to read it every year for 10 years or until version 2.
Yeah.
The only thing different, by the way, in version 1 to version 2, because as a coach, I get pieces of it from Gary, is some of the models have adjusted, right? Which we talked about. Crystal talked about last time, right? When we wrote that, social media wasn't a big part yet. However, everything else still applies. So mastery looks like, right? Higher education, we say, you know, if you want to get your master's in, you take how many years of college and education, right? Mastery of MREA will help you get closer to being an MREA, right? Okay. So in it says prospecting versus marketing. So our lead capture comes from prospecting or marketing, right? So we talk about this slide. Gary Keller talks about being prospecting based and marketing enhanced. We're going to cover that in a minute. And we're going to talk about a little bit of time blocking for it, preparing, taking action, and then maintaining. Okay. So the interesting thing is that leads are everywhere, right? As we talked about earlier, everyone has housing, right? And so there's many opportunities, but what we want to do is narrow that down for you so that you have a clarity around the way and strategies that you want to focus in to build your business. All right, so here's the first thing we're going to talk about in this though, is approach. It's this simple system for approach. First, practice having good conversation starters. Okay? One of my favorites is asking people, especially if I'm in a networking event or what have you, I just ask them, what do they do for a living? Guess what? They asked me the same. That opens the door to real estate. Their follow-up questions always have the market. My answer to that is, that's a great question. Before I answer it, what are you asking in particular about the market? Then I get to know if it's a seller, buy side, or both. Of course, the short answer is market's great. Depends on what you want to do. It's always great. What would you want to do if you could?
Your dreams going.
Exactly. I also like to talk to people about where do they live. How long have you lived in Corvallis? How many you live in? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I lived here. Okay, what do you love about your neighborhood? When they start talking about their neighborhood, it's great because then you can say, and if you weren't living in that neighborhood, what's the dream neighborhood? Again, talking about just asking questions, conversation starters. If you hear somebody in a public place talking about buying or selling, you haven't met them, what's something you could ask them?
I hear you right.
Ooh, did I hear you right?
Yeah.
You guys were talking about real estate. What else?
Do you have something to help you with that?
Yeah. Well, what's that? Let's talk about openers, right? Like, what's the first thing you could say to them? You're standing in line at Starbucks and somebody's talking about selling their house. What might you say?
What made you decide I'm going to sell your house?
Great. What else? Any other thoughts?
This is one thing I struggle with a lot is like, how do I start that?
No kidding, right? That's why we're talking about it. Yeah. excuse me, I may have overheard you talking about selling your home. Is that correct? And like, by the way, that's a yes or no question that I want them to say yes. Yes, right. You know what? I'm just curious because I'm working with a lot of buyers. Where's that at? Oh, my house is over on Woodland Hill. Oh, that's a wonderful neighborhood. Oh, you're probably going to get a good price point for that. Are you working with an agent? They might say yes, they might say no. Can I have their name so that I can follow up? Guess what? They don't know the name. They're not working with them. Yeah. Right? Then it's like, I would love to see if your home is a fit for one of my buyers. And let you know what your price is, how much equity you have. When would be a good time to meet? They don't know. Maybe they just met me. But I want you to think about this. Put this in your head. Because it sounds a little forward, right? And you might think, does she really do that? Is she that brave? Well, I do really do that. And it's not about bravery. It is about confidence. And you guys are going to get there. It's confidence, that's all. And it's this one thing, I'll tell you, that I always keep in the back of my head, okay? Every interaction you're having with a potential buyer or seller, you're interviewing for a job. Now, when you think about going out and interviewing for a job in the world, do you think about being confident, putting your best foot forward, or do you think about going in there kind of sheepishly passive, like, they might like me, I hope they hire me? What's your energy for that? It's best foot forward, right? It's high energy, it's confidence. Why? Because that's who they want to hire, right? Have you ever heard any buyer or seller say, gosh, I really hope to hire a really passive agent?
That is true.
So that moment, that conversation, it's step number one in showing that you are confident and proactive. And that's how you will be as their agent. Always be interviewing for the job. There's 100 questions we could ask the people in Starbucks, right? What do you love about it? We're going to go next, right? The reason I jump straight to the point is because no matter what they say to you, that's the exact reason we should meet. I think this is fortuitous that I was sitting in line next to you today. Wouldn't it be great if we could put together a win-win? Your home, our buyers. And if not, I would love to tell you what's going on in the market today and what your home would be worth. Okay. So that is not the only way we're going to connect with people. However, it is one way, because everywhere you go, think about it this way: 3 feet rule. Everyone who comes in 3 feet of you is a buyer seller someday. Okay, so we have approach. Next, we have connection. How do we connect with people? Simply, we build rapport with them. What's the fastest way to build rapport? This is a cheat sheet. Again, fastest way to build rapport ever, just ask questions. The more they talk, the more they feel they connected with you. The more you talk, the less they feel connected. It's simply because everybody's internal, living in their own head, dealing with their own things. And then, after asking them questions, you can make an offer to them. Let's say you're standing in the Starbucks line and you hear them saying they're going to buy a house. Right? Oh, I may have overheard you saying you're looking to buy a house. Who's your agent? Again, they either remember the name or they don't have an agent. You know, we have an exclusive list of homes for sale with our brokerage because we have a lot of agents that list properties. In fact, we list the most in the area. If you'd like to find out what those homes are before they're coming on the market, let me know. So it's an old script. It does work great today. Or here's one, and my coach taught me this when I first started back in the day. Oh, where are you finding the properties that you're potentially looking for? What are they gonna say?
So
Mhm.
Yeah.
They say Zillow. Unless they have an agent, a great agent, right? Well, we're looking at Zillow. Okay. Yeah, I get it. So it's become very popular. And man, I would just feel bad if I walked away from this conversation and I didn't let you know that it's being 25 to 50% inaccurate. And also it's a couple days behind what we actually get as real estate professionals, and including Zillow does not have coming soon or a pre-list feature of properties that we could tell you about before you be competing. Would that be helpful to you in your search? One of my favorite scripts to say, especially to my buyers, and I say this too about for some buy owners, is when they're looking, right? It's my job to look every different homes for them, and for them to be paying attention to the homes I send to them, because those are the ones actually available. And I'll say this: I'd be really sad if you guys were, sitting around the computer after dinner at night and find your dream home on Zillow, and you get all excited and you're picking up bedrooms and where the dog's gonna sleep, and you call me up to go see it, make an offer, only to hear it's no longer available. I really like to help save you from some of that. And they're like, oh yeah, I want to see homes coming from you. Okay, so connect, ask questions, and then move them forward. The last thing, ask me, which is on the screen, which you just heard me do multiple times, right? These are everywhere, 3 feet rule. Keep your ears open. When you set an intention to hear conversations about real estate, you will actually hear the conversations about real estate. And because you're selling real estate, that's really easy. Your RAS in your brain, your reticular activator center, it's already tuned to it now. Okay. All right. Any ahas from this section? Anything specific?
Well, I do like how you basically encapsulated the process. You approach, connect with them, ask questions, and then get in the plan. It's really just that.
It's simple. I want you guys to remember, for lead capture and for lead gen, your job is actually to be an appointment setter. The goal is to set appointments, not just to talk to people about real estate. When you put that as the priority and you set your standard around appointments, like however long does it take for me to set an appointment, that's how long I lead gen all week, right? You'll have higher results because the focus is on appointments. The more appointments you get, the more at-bats you get, the more deals you get. Okay, does anybody take a really quick break? Okay, let's move on. Wait, Mackenzie, did you have an aha?
I liked just your ideas about what to be posting to bring in questions or potential buyers or sellers. Those were helpful.
Barbie or Melinda, any ahas?
Kind of. I have some buyers, several sets of buyers that have sort of backed out of the market because of interest rates. I'm trying to think of a conversation to have with them based on kind of pain points, because it's not really working out for them right now, is it? That they waited. But anyway, but yeah, you made me think of them and how to approach them now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you were on, we talked about it earlier, redefining affordability, showing them the math, reimagining the math. Those are some of the ways that you can approach this. Also, I recommend to everyone, we have the lender hacks booklet, playbook that Gary put out. Get that, print it, go meet with your preferred lender and say, hey, what are these things can you facilitate that would help my buyers and could help potentially move them forward? But Okay, good. All right, so we're
Thank
gonna
you.
move forward. Yeah, you're welcome. You're so welcome. To talk about prospecting versus marketing. Lead generation is a contact sport with simple rules. It means making contact with people through prospecting and marketing. Contact sport. Okay, do it. I love this graph. If you haven't seen it. This graph is important to always keep in front of you. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. First of all, when is the best time to be connected with someone? On the way up or on the way down?
Really on the way up.
Mackenzie?
I mean, you want to be connected with them the whole time.
It is a trick question. It is a trick question the entire time. Everyone you know is somewhere on this graph. Everyone you know. So, how will you know where they are on the graph? I love this. It says this. I'm going to upgrade it. Let me say this. It says, it's your job to do the best to predict where they are always. Why do you have to predict? Yeah. Be professional question askers, right? Why predict? Just ask. Said another way, from another coach colleague that I have R&D for my coaching clients, have a note line or a tagline or something in your command or on your spreadsheet or in your preferred CRM that says your next move. And every time you talk to someone, say, hey, you just closed on a house yesterday, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, which tells me that your next purchase and sell will be in about 7 years. Can I put you down for that? Right? What if you spend time as you're doing your DTD2 or database connections, right? And you were asking that question, they're going to laugh. Oh my gosh, we just bought a house. We don't think about moving. That's my job to think about it for you. Whose job is it to think about that? Ours. And let me tell you what that's going to look like. I'm just going to check in with you from time to time. In fact, I had a buyer purchase 2 years ago, selling this year. They weren't expecting that. Right now, I'm going to put you down for 7 years, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check in with you from time to time to see, 1, if you need any resources. 2, help with home maintenance. That's our customer service program. 3, see if you've had any changes. Okay. The best time to get them to say okay to that, which we call permissive marketing, is when they just had a great transaction with you. Which is another one of the questions on here. When's the best time to talk to people? When they're happy. When's the best time to ask referrals, which that's coming up later. When they're happy. When's the best time to ask the seller for referrals? When they just decided to choose you to be their realtor. Right? Man, things can get wonky and weird at the end of the deal, and it's usually not our fault. But the energy gets transferred to us. Now, there's tips to turn that around, no doubt. However, best time to ask for referrals is right away when people start working with you, right away when they're excited, right away. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, since you just listed with me, you're about to sell your home, put your home on the market. You're going to get questions from everyone. And what that's going to do is have people talking to you about their plans for buying and selling a home. I'm asking if you would connect me with them. How about you connect us so we can confidently help them move forward? Simplest thing to do, easiest time to do it. Same with buyer. So excited. You just got approved. We're going to see homes. It's the most exciting time. I'm so excited for you. You know what's going to happen as you're telling people you're about to buy a home? They're going to start talking to you about same script, right? Now you've activated the RAS, that's a reticular activator center in your brain. You've turned on them listening to those conversations to connect you. And it's subconscious. You won't even realize you just planted it in that. Beautiful. Okay. So anytime, which means in order to stay connected with all those spans of time, we want to have a system. We've already talked about database, right? Systematically connecting with your database. That's a big piece of that, right? Answering a question and knowing, projecting, and having the conversation of their next move. By the way, this does set you up to be their realtor for life. Does anybody want that? Yeah. I want to have you guys write down some numbers real quick. Okay. The average commission right now, 10,000. Okay, so write 10,000.
I found this on the web.
Siri's trying to help us. We don't need. Okay, now add that by. Let's go here. Two more, because it'd be a sell by, right? So that's 4 more. So we have actually, they bought and we have 4 more. So that's times 5, right? That's easy math. That's 50,000, right? We're just going to use our average commission today. Now I'm going to blow your mind. Ready for it? I'm going to use 10 because the math is easy. It could be 7. 10 years, 10 years, 10 more. We're not going to go on to the next move. So we're going to go 10, 20, 30. But on average, I'm going to give you a statistic. On average, everyone you know knows 4 people that will buy, sell, or invest in real estate a year. Okay. So let's just say we get 1 of those. On average, for the next 10 years, you get 10 referrals from that. So 10 times 10,000 is 100,000 plus 100,000 plus another 100,000. So $350,000 is what staying connected to those people represent to your business. Now, how does that make you feel about those quarterly calls?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the power of working our database. That's the power of knowing this timeline. It's my favorite. Okay. Moving on. Okay. So we're talking about prospecting versus marketing. Hello, Steve.
How you doing?
Good. Good to
Good.
see ya.
Good to see you. Happy Monday.
Yeah, you too. All right. So prospecting versus marketing. Prospecting is free. Marketing is not. Let me just say it that way. Which is why we say prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Okay. I think I talked a little bit about this in session 5, right? Methods for lead generating, prospecting, and marketing. Now, we already talked about it. Why is prospecting based? Why is it better to be prospecting based than marketing enhanced?
Prospecting gets you faster results for less money.
That's true. For less money, if you guys can hear that. Basically, it's your time and effort. Right? Now, time and effort, if you choose social media as a lead source, right, could be free as well and not, because time and effort with the marketing piece combined. But for most every other activity, prospecting, picking up the phone, door knocking, doing open houses, following up with those leads, calling through your database, doesn't cost much but time. Marketing costs money. That's why. That's the only reason why we recommend it be that way. Now, when you build a big business with great regular GCI and a great expense line, and you want to add some lead sources, by all means, add some paid lead sources because you can. I say anything, so stop. Okay. Now, we're looking at these prospecting. You have it in your book. You have the book. So you want to get this out when you can, Mackenzie. And you may have talked this over with Coach or with Sarah already on your strategies. But the first page we're looking at is prospecting. Basically, prospecting is your face-to-face or phone-to-phone opportunities, okay? And here's a great list of all of them. And obviously what was missing from the book, from the MREA, was social media. So I want you to take a look at this list, either on the screen, if you don't have it, and pick out, or put a check by, or write down any of the sources that you were considering doing. Just really sort through it. I'm going to give you a few minutes and just make that decision right now. Now, one mistake that I see agents make is they try to do everything. You can't do everything, right? Remember, you're looking to master some specific ones that will get you results. And per the wonderful Sunny Bono, you might be choosing something that other agents don't like to do. I would recommend to every single agent that they for sure make their number one database. And little hint on that, every single agent that's earned its way to the top of our country and into the room with Gary Keller and the mastermind, every one of them says database is their main number one source, right? And then they all have a couple more main sources. The agents that have coached that struggled a little bit at the beginning of the pandemic and that are struggling a little bit more now than some of the other agents I coached were the ones that would rightfully admit that they did not focus on their database at the beginning. They were working paid sources or, other sources, but without the relationship, there was a gap in 2020. The gap didn't last long because then we all know market went crazy after about June or July, but there was that pause where it was just the database feeding them. Your force of buy owners went away, open house opportunities went away, right? And people who didn't also work their database, they experienced that. And now people that are not working their database at a high level are experiencing that now. If you're new to the area, that's okay. You just have opportunities to create more database. Okay, we'll talk about that too, because I was not from here when we started real estate, which is why we did force of buy owners and expireds and door knocking and open houses as well, and built our database, stayed and connected with those. Okay, so pick 2 to 3 and think about something, whether you think you're good at it or not, that will give you the opportunity to be in a place where money exchanges hands. Okay. All right. Now we're going to look at marketing. So prospecting is our main, and then marketing becomes our next level of opportunity. With the onset of social media, we do have the opportunity to do a lot of organic marketing, which is wonderful, okay? And all I'm going to say about that is there is a social media playbook that we have put out. And it is connected to screenshot through command for you to make it easier for yourself. You want to set yourself up though on a thing. Social media, if it's your choice, should be systematized and have a thought out plan and like a media calendar, come from a marketing background, for what content is being posted, right? And then when you're doing organic personal posts, right? So that you have a plan to follow through. Because a failure to plan is the plan to, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I always tell myself that. So if you're looking to start free first, right? It's about posting and whatnot. When you're ready to do some Facebook paid ads, you can also facilitate that through command at the lowest cost. That's our partnership that they help us create it. They also wrote the algorithms for us. That's also an ongoing conversation. As you know, algorithms change. So if you want to get the most out of your pennies spent on Facebook, because they literally are pennies, right? People are getting leads for average cost of 52 cents a lead, most cost-effective lead source in our industry. Do it through command. All right. Now, I did say I wanted to talk about open houses for a minute to help you guys. First of all, as a practitioner, right, as a professional, you should have your own packet of commitment letter that you would present to a prospecting other agent that would open the door opportunity-wise for you to do open houses for them when the need arises. I coach everyone on this. It's very simple. Think about this. Your own standards and expectations and level that for every open house, I will put out minimum number of signs. 2, show up this time early. 3, door knock and invite the neighbors if you like. 4, right? Do a sign in and write everyone's information down. 5, give you feedback right after the open house so you can follow up with yourself, right? So, think about it. What would be, ooh, our battery's running low. This?
So yeah.
I think that's what
Oh, okay. She did tell me that, hopefully. I know. That's okay. Okay, there we go. Got it. I moved over, but it works. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, create your own standard and expectation to you so that you look like a rock star. 2, reach out to people one-to-one. A blanket statement on the KWMW Facebook page, not enough. Go to the heavy hitters and say, I am available and will make myself available. You get in a bind, you call me. You take a last minute leave. Listen, you want an open house, you call me. I'm your guy, I'm your girl. Got it? Just like a seller and a buyer does not want to hire a passive agent, nor does a top producing agent that takes us, you want to have a passive agent at their open house. Then it just moves right into the I'm barely appeasing my seller's desire category, and who wants to be a part of that energy? No one. Plus they'll learn from me. They're like, man. So we had a list, and my listing manager kept that short list of, and it was short because I had high standards. And I'm going to tell you, the agent that showed up at the open house late, off the list. The agent that didn't follow up with me within 30 minutes so I could tell my very antsy sellers the feedback, off the list. But we had a list, and they were happy to complain. Now, as a team, I also have my own standards list that I give to them, and it's a commitment. And because they need to know how my team worked and what we did and what they were responsible for. But what I'm saying is, it was her job then to call them if we had opportunity. Obviously, they went to our team members first, but we took a lot of listings, you guys. Those buyers agents couldn't work all those houses. And they're not always all available. And then they're reaching out to someone on the admin team or listing agent sitting up, open house. Become their favorite person. Side tip on that, There are vacant homes in the MLS not sold. You can do an open house for a coach. I'm telling you, you can. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, I'm glad you cleared it up.
Yeah, you can.
That was,
Yes. And you can say I said.
and I'm gonna quote,
Me and Sue, we know. There's been some questions where it's allowed. You can co-mark, I mean, it's allowed agency and MLS where they can co-list with an outside broker. We don't like it, we don't recommend it, but hey, you're gonna leave from it. You can certainly do your open house. So that's a good way to find open house. What houses are sitting there? What houses are vacant? Let me tell you something. I was coaching a woman who'd been in business like 20 years. She just came into my schedule. She lives in Las Vegas. She wasn't having much business. Well, the first thing that we do to get business is get an open house. And she said, open houses don't work for me. And I said, oh, okay. How many have you done in your career? About 6 or 7 in her career. Interesting. Okay. I said, you haven't decided. I want you to go to the 2 biggest hitters of open houses in your market and ask them a few questions. 1, what do they love about it? 2, what do they attribute to their success? 3, what have they learned after doing them of this time that they could share with you? 3 simple questions. Well, she got to 1. She didn't even go any further. She came back. She understood. She understood what I was doing to her. The very first agent she asked she said, what do you love about doing open houses? He said, my bank account can't afford for me to not love doing that. Okay. Next. She said, I can't remember the second question. He said, he had just got off a challenge in May that he put himself in. He said, in May, I committed to myself and my coach, I'm going to do open house every day. Oh yeah, results, right? What kind of results? He said, in 30 days of open houses, I got 31 pieces of business. And she was floored. By the way, that did it for her. She didn't even need the next question, right? The point is, he had done enough. Reaction had been a record of his conversion rate, show up rate, and results for their area. She had done 7 in her career. She didn't have enough information to know she could would work or not work. So when we're saying I'm going to do something, commit to it. Now, he said this. I had many days where 0 people were there. But then I had multiple days where I got multiple days out. The point is, the math will work over time. Anything we do, it's time on task over time. Anything we do that we stay consistent to will produce results. So when you're looking at these options, both prospecting and marketing, don't get a few weeks in and ditch it because you don't have enough data. You haven't put enough into it, and you may not have mastered. You may not be getting the results. It could be a gap in skill, not the actual activity itself. So give yourself some time to grow into it, to learn it, to get good at it. By the way, to master the thing, to become the best at it, right? Okay. All right. So we do both, right? Here's both in a nutshell, right? This is actually something that we do both on, and they don't have to cost us, honestly, except for, well, farming can cost us. Piece of that can be the reason why, what makes farming prospecting, Michael?
well, if it's targeted, you're going after like a specific demographic and you're actually going out there and doing it. It's not by definition passive.
Going out and actually doing it, because if you door knock, that's prospecting, right? Yeah. And then the other part of farming might be mailers, right? So that's marketing. And it works great when you do both together. When you don't do those combined, you have a lower return rate, right? So that's why we call it both. Now, I love that they put geographic and demographic. Events, right? Events can be prospecting and marketing. You want to market to get people to your open house. You want to market to get people to come to your seminars, contests, client appreciation events, right? It can be both prospecting and marketing. Now, I have a lot of people that I coach that love to do events with their database. Every time when I get somebody new in my schedule that's doing events in their database, I like to tell them to tell me what happens, right? Give me step by step. So usually they typically put in the newsletter, send a text invite, put it on their social media private group, right? Everybody comes, have a great time. They post pictures after, right? And tell me a beautiful picture. And I say, okay, how many referrals came from it? How did you get those referrals? 99% of the time, that's the gap. So how do we take a client event, make it a prospecting event? So simple. So simple. We do a drawing for referrals. We let them know, hey, look at these cool things we're going to give away. Bring your referrals, bring your people who you know might buy or sell this year, and you get entered in this drawing. So simple. Then you can take an event that cost you $500 to $2,000 or whatever, and get 5 to 30 pieces of business out of it. Imagine. Do every event with the idea that it would be more than paid for by the referrals you're going to get from it, and you won't have any problem. And then it won't worry that it won't be a problem or an issue that it costs you money. Networking is great. Networking is one of my favorite things. And I see it on a lot of people's plans that they're going to network. And then I say, okay, so what's your plan to get referrals from all of this networking you're going to? Because I'm going to have chamber and business after hours, and I'm going to do this, and I'm working the PTA. Okay, how's that going to get you business? Let's have the plan. What's the system? What are you going to do systematically to actually get referrals from that? Otherwise, you're just a nice person in the community, right? Are you going to business after hours for cocktails? Or are you going to get business? So I have them set a goal. Meet 5 people to every networking event. Meet 5 new people. 2, ask those people about their business. What do they do? Why do they love that? Get their information. Ask to follow up. By the way, whenever you ask someone a question, the natural response is they reciprocate with the question. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Right? What do you do for a living, Michael?
I'm in real estate.
Exactly. Every time. Every time. So it's win. It's win. You won't lose. You ask about them, which means you build rapport. You're asking questions. They're talking. 2. That's so fascinating. I love to learn more about your business. And more importantly, Michael, I like to learn more about your business as how it could help my client base, my database. Because we have coffee sometime. Yeah. Every single opportunity, set a goal. And for some of my clients, 5 is a stretch. So I'm like, hey, let's start with 1. Then they go and they meet one new person, they do the script, and it works great. The next time, I'm like, it's free. Next time, it's fine. Right? Prospecting and marketing can have purchased referral networks, advertising networks, and client tech. Purchase is not my favorite. Okay. Moving on. But we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is referrals. I already did the math for you, which was one of the things I was going to do, and I did it on the graph. The math of potential referrals, remember, from the chart. I want you guys to keep that in the forefront, right? Like, if it's not your goal, make it your goal to be their realtor for life. If it helps you to keep those numbers to your forefront, that every single prospective buyer or seller potential conversation for a buyer or seller is not worth 1 commission. And in some of your price points, it's going to be worth, and their neighbors will be upwards of $500,000 because over the lifetime of that relationship. So, okay. Top agents already shared, they rely on their sphere. And most of them say about 90% of their business comes from referrals. We talked a little bit about this in the when we're talking about connecting with somebody in line at Starbucks, but in order to get referrals, we want to provide value. We're always looking to provide some kind of value. So when I was sharing that graph, remember I said, I'm going to be connecting with you in 3 ways, right? 1, right, is to be a resource. That's a strategy in and of itself. 2 is customer service. Again, strategy in and of itself. What if you had an outline customer service plan that you handed them at close so they knew the time you'd be checking in with them every year? Customer service. We are the main resource they have to maintain and to build wealth from their largest asset. Think about that. So I'll tell you a short story. I had some clients / sphere that had problems with some little visitors in their crawl space that had destroyed their all the stuff, right? Insulation. Yeah. And not only that, that's right, ruined the beds. And I didn't know about it. They didn't call me first. They had homeowners insurance. They had a certain process with them. They followed it. Turns out at the end of the day, they had to call me to get a resource for a better contractor, because the contractor that the insurance person did and the company didn't work out well, ended up costing them out of pocket $16,000. At the end of the day, they needed me to give them a great recommendation or referral. And I was talking to my coach about that, and she said, what does it look like? Hi. What does it look like going forward to make sure you're the first call? So kids overflow the bathtub and you don't know it, and it's boring process, or right, something, breaks down. What does it take? What kind of service would it take for you to be the first call for that resource, that help, that question? Now I have clients that do that, right? And I refer most of my stuff now because I have other roles, but a client called me last week and somebody door knocked on his door telling him on the value of solar panels, right? And he's like, I want to know from your realtor's perspective, right? Like, I want to know from you, is that true? It's like, not true. They're way off in their assumptions of what we get for value on. Yeah. But it was a good conversation. I was so happy to answer it. Winnie, hello, call me. Okay, so that's what it looks like to provide value, right? There's other things that they mentioned here. Your KW app, market statistics, provide vetted vendor lists. That's another piece of your customer service program that you can create, right? Is your vetted, approved vendor list. So always provide value. I want to do a side note on market statistics, and we've been talking a lot about social media and that kind of value. I'm going to put your mind in a little bit different place for that. One of my coaches, who's very brilliant, she shared with us the other day that we're in a very information heavy society. So as a real estate professional, even 5 years ago, our currency was information. We held all the keys to that. And that's where a lot of our value came from. Well, it's not now. The information can be found everywhere. What's missing in that is the connecting the dots for them, is the interpretation of the information, i.e., here's why I say stand out from all of that noise, because it just becomes white noise now. And don't just be that, here's some market stats, here's this. Be the, potentially this is a pain point or a problem or a question you're asking about this information. That's why we should connect, because I have the answers in any of that. if you could word that a number of ways. Be specific, get into a pain point or a good question about it, and offer to connect the dots or bring the solution. That's how you'll stand out. That's how we provide value. Okay. The second part of this is we need to ask for referrals, right? It's the moment, but it is important to be said because often it's missed. I'm having all these great connections. What were your results? 0. Did you ask for referrals? No. Not saying that about you. Just saying conversations I've had in the past with agents. Reward for referrals. I mentioned that. Right? We talked about events, drawing, things like that. Doing a simple drawing quarterly for your business or monthly. Okay, and you're training them to think about it. You're really training their brain, and you're keeping their RAS, that reticular activator center, you're keeping it in tune to hear those conversations. And then thank you for handwritten. No, that's just good manners, right? Also, reward for referrals could look like, you send them a latte card or something like that. Now, we're going to talk about agent to agent referrals. Wait, let me back up real quick. We already mentioned this, but I want to remind you on this page and on page Goldmine of referrals. I don't know what. 9.7. Look at those referral conversations if you have it. We've talked about this already, but when's the best time to ask for referrals, right? So it gives some conversations here. I just want you guys to know and highlight these referral conversations and the conversations to be having throughout your notebook and the scripts / conversations. We don't say scripts anymore. In the Ignite booklet, because these are your friend. These are the things to practice, to help yourself with every day. And I'm of this mindset. I love bold. And I love that when you're involved, you get a referral partner. And I also hear this all the time. My referral partner never showed up, so I couldn't practice. What? That's like saying the other agent, the people next to me, didn't make their call, so I can't.
Yeah.
Right? Don't make somebody else responsible for you owning your craft, owning your own skill, owning your own mastery. So yes, you can practice by yourself. And while I'm on the soapbox, I'll share one more thing. This is important, Mackenzie, Melinda, Barbie, Michael. You might read a script and think to yourself internally, that doesn't sound like me. I'm just going to challenge your thinking on that for just a second. When it's coming outside of your mouth, it literally can't sound like anyone else. True?
True.
Also, most of the time, the people who either know you or don't know what you are or aren't supposed to say as a real estate professional. So again, they're not saying, Mackenzie would never say that in her former life. No, Mackenzie Realtor would say that. You see? Conversations / what we used to refer to as scripts, you know what? They're just knowing the right thing to say appropriate to the setting. So there's different questions you'll ask in the Starbucks line than you'll ask from someone in your database, then that you will ask for someone at the open house. So practicing and having those questions in your tool belt, that's all it is. Practice it until you don't need the prompt to remember it. That's a tip in this booklet, and I think it's an incredible tip. Now, another tip on that is practice a section at a time. You don't learn everything all at once. You won't retain it all at once. So, for example, you look at your lead sources and you're like, okay, over the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to practice the questions I'm asking for referrals from my database, and then do the same ones over and over and over again for 2 weeks. Okay. Then you go down to your next lead source. Oh, open house. Okay. And the next 2 weeks, questions at open houses. And you practice that every single day for the next couple of weeks. That's how you get really good at it. Right. Agent to agent referrals. This one Seems like a no-brainer, right? You want to get other agents referring clients to you, correct? Yeah. It's a great opportunity and often a missed opportunity, and I'll tell you why. For example, Michael, you live in 2 states.
I do.
Yeah. So what's the opportunity? Are you licensed in Arizona?
I am.
Yeah. So you have an opportunity to build relationships with both and work back and forth. Right? Yeah. However, do you know people in other states?
I do.
Do they live in houses? Right? Do you connect with agents in those states? Right. There's an opportunity. There's a great opportunity for you. So you make up, first of all, a list of every single state that you know somebody in. And look for a great agent in that state. And then your message to those people is what? I know a great agent where you live, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Make it part of your lead gen. All right. Now, there's another way to get referrals. It's social media stuff at its finest. Join all those groups and be one of those, my daughter's really good at it. I have to say, I personally don't have the patience for it. She gets so many referrals from Facebook. It's kind of cool. So start building the referral partners. And the easiest way to do this is you set aside a time once a week, right? Maybe 30 minutes a week to reach out to those people. Send a text, send a note card, put them on an email campaign drip for all your referral partners, right? Things like that, okay? And then reach out to your people that you know as well during that time that live in those areas. Okay? Now, Command has made it really easy to do this. Build the relationships, right? Start with where people live that you know, right? Then maintain them, set some time aside every week to connect or you can do that and then manage them. And the best way I've found is in Command. If you're not using Command, find out whatever you're using, what it has to offer. But here's something I want to show you guys that you may not know. See this, you can put the map in, you can search the map, and you can actually put, because it knows where you're at, there's a drop down under mapping. I think it's under production. You can drop it down and it tells you ingoing and outgoing referrals. It will toggle from different cities to where you're living. So it tells you the most opportunity for referrals coming in and going out to. So basically, fancy way of saying that is migration habits, which we used to have to go to city data for. And now it's right in there. Okay. So that's also a great place to start. Where do I even start? Where is the cities people typically move from that come to my area? And then when people leave, where do they typically move to? And those are where you want to build those partnerships as well. Okay. You can actually send a request right through Command. I'll recommend you do more than that. Some agents just aren't paying attention or will never see it because you might be using other resources, right? So get their contact information, put in your database, tag them, message them differently, call them, send them a text, send them an email. You can put agents to agent referrals on your quarterly calls as well. Okay, so we have this one story one of our coaches tells. He said, he used to get this email from San Antonio, Texas agent all the time. And he didn't know who it was from that. He just recognized it. It was an email. Until that agent went to the Never Under Referrals class and started putting him on a quarterly call. So she called him, left a message. Next quarter, she called him, left a message. Third quarter, she got him. He picked up, didn't even know why. He said, didn't mean to pick up. Talked to her. Her name was Kathy. Flooding back to his brain was the other messages she left, and then every email he's been on for like 24 months for her. Now, email plus voicemail plus conversation. Guess what? a referral came up for San Antonio. Who do you think he called? There's like thousands of agents in San Antonio. Not only this coach and trainer teaches in that area, so knew more agents. But Kathy was proactive. She did the extra steps. She got there. That's all it takes. Okay. And if you don't know this, you can get referrals both ways. As of 2022, we have a presence in 50+ regions, including the US and Canada. 50+. So if you know some world travelers, then you have the opportunity. Okay, business to business referrals. When I was talking to you about your database and having a customer service plan that lets you stay connected to them, right? And utilizing that script and the vetted vendors, right? This is the opportunity. You build those business to business partnerships with a win-win agreement or philosophy. I want to work with you. I want you to work with my clients. How do we build a win-win partnership agreement? So, funny story. Some of you may know Lon used to be the team leader here way back. Not last year when he was intern for a little bit, but I mean the first time. And we had these business partners, and I remember him telling the story that he talked to some of these business partners and lenders specifically, and they said, I would give out more referrals to agents that asked. Very few agents are asking their lenders for referrals. Now, there's an interesting stat in NAR to connect the dots for you that say, which comes first, chicken or egg, right? Realtor or lender? And there's 80%. 80% of people come to the realtor first, and the realtor refers the lender. Which means if I'm a lender, 80% of my business is coming from realtors, right? Do you think that I want to share the love? Do I think I'm going to give referrals to people who refer back to me if they ask? Why is it important to ask? What is that showing the lender when you ask them for referrals? It's a word I told you guys earlier. No lender wants to work with the passive realtor.
Yeah. Exactly.
Every lender wants to work with a proactive realtor. So when you ask for referrals, what are you showing them?
You're correct.
Yeah. They know the good, the bad, and the ugly in this business, don't they? They know the insides and the outs, and they know the back end, and they know who does a great job and who doesn't. So just like we want lenders to get it done, they want agents to get it done. But that's just the beginning. Look, you have a whole list. And I love it when somebody moves to town, and this does happen to us, and they are not from around here, or they are from around here and they're making a change. And they're like, who do you recommend? Dentist, doctor, hairdresser, right? Become the resource. They will only know that you are the resource. How will they know that you are the resource for them? Yes. Thank you. Two things. Don't assume they're going to know it. You got to tell them. That's part of your customer service plan. Second thing, don't assume they're thinking something. Just ask, right? We don't predict when they're going to move again. We ask when they think they'll move again. We don't assume that we're going to be their first call. We offer to be their first call. Most buyers and sellers think our job of working with them is done once they get the closing and the closing it.
That's true.
How can we show them differently? That's our opportunity, right? That gives us that 30 years of buy, sell, referrals. That's worth $2.25 million. Good to see you.
You too.
Right. Business to business. I'll tell you something that one of my clients is doing. really genius. She went through all the people that she's ever referred business to, every single kind of vendor. She put the list together. She started a Facebook group. She invited them to it. She texted them all, told them she was inviting them to it. She sent an email out. She asked them if they wanted to be in a referral partner group, share referrals with each other. And she started featuring one a week on the Facebook page of which they all could see. She's getting business from that group. She made her own networking group out of the vendors. She built relationships. So for years, and she actually got this from us because we used to do it now. We just something different, but 12 days of Christmas. So day after Thanksgiving for 12 days, we did a giveaway, right? So she started doing that back in the day when I started coaching her. She's still doing it. Because of her vendor Facebook group now and the partnerships she's creating, all those 12 days of Christmas giveaways was a different vendor in her group giving away something. Isn't that cool? Free carpet cleaning, a gutter cleaning certificate, somebody gave away a vacuum unit, somebody gave a car, all from their own businesses. That's win-win, you guys. Now, Christy does 50 to 60 deals a year, and she's fed a lot of business to these people, so they should. But they wouldn't if she didn't ask. Not only that, they're sharing referrals to each other now. Right? The lender's posting in the group like, hey, I'm doing a refi and they need to have this done. Who's, create that community. Powerful. We have the ability, again, to be in the center of where money exchanges hands, not just for our own business, but for so many other business partners. Our business could change their lives. Have you thought about that? And their business could change our life. That's win-win, right? Okay, moving on. Clearly, I love talking about business to business. Okay, more sources. We're going to run through these pretty quickly because I cannot play the real. That's time. And then you guys have to leave that, okay? All right. A collection of homes, geographic farm collection of homes and neighborhoods that an agent chooses to focus on for their prospecting and marketing efforts. The few things I want to say, I want to give you a couple notes on this. We talked about our audience for sellers, right? What was the main audience for seller that we're going to probably be working with in the next 3 to 5 years? Baby boomers, that's right. 75% of residential real estate owned by baby center. Baby boomers still in the US today. So think about your geographic farming and demographics. That's key. I'm going to pick this neighborhood. I should know who is in that neighborhood. Who's in that neighborhood? What's the potential for them selling? How long have they lived there? When was the last time they moved? Second, you should know the turnover rate of that neighborhood. What's the turnover rate? Good question. It's the rate at which people move. And you're looking at about 7 to 8% turnover rate. Now that's data you can actually get from the city, but also a simple math. You can take how many homes that you're farming and how many sold in that percentage, and you want to do it 5 years now, and that'll give you an average. Everybody get that? Anybody have questions on that? If you do, ask me later, because I'm going to wrap through all this really quickly. So you want to know turnover rates. I'm going to tell you something. Albany has higher turnover rates than Corvallis. Corvallis does have some neighborhoods with higher turnover rates. They end up being HOAs. HOAs have higher turnover rates. Mm-hmm. They're also more commonly targeted by realtors. So the second thing you want to know, third, you want to know the demographics. You want to know the turnover rate. The third thing you want to know, does any agent in that neighborhood own it already? How do you know that? Do a simple spreadsheet of the solds for the last 12 months or the last 24 months. Number of solds, and then look at how many each agent sold. So if there's 10 agents, there was 30 sales. Did anybody sell, right? This agent sold 3. You have to do a little math on that, find the percentages. But if they're mostly all one-offs, or there wasn't really one that was that far ahead of anyone else, then you have the opportunity to own it over time. But if somebody has 10% or more ownership and they're like taking more than everyone else, those other agents got lucky because they knew somebody or something, had an open house on a good day, seller walked in the door, but that other agent is getting the bulk of it. That's hard to beat down. I just want you to know that. Not saying it can't be done. It's going to take different strategies. It's going to take longer term. It is a long game. We say farming is a long game. Things that change the long game. Working with the demographics of the people most likely to sell. 1, door knocking. 2, doing open houses as much as you can when you're in that geographic farm. Okay. So there's some skill to farming, but the biggest skill is just learning to be consistent. Okay. All right. Next, events and seminars. I want to just share that we have all the tools you need to do an event seminar. If you're looking for that, we can help you find that resource. AW Connect has ready to go seminar materials. Again, you want to focus your target marketing to bring people to these events and seminars by your message to the audience that it would be interested in, right? So we're back to that message, right? Method, event seminars. Message. If it's a buyer seminar, who's likely going to show up? You want to target that and put that marketing word, millennials likely are going to be, right? If it's a seller seminar, where might you be? Listen, don't go to the old folks home. They've already sold. That part cracks me up. But you want to get in the path of being able to invite some senior centers. And now you can, at some of these community centers, connect with a marketer and build relationships there because they sometimes get connected. But financial planners, estate planners, attorneys, right? These insurance, like, can you connect with, partner with them, with their client base, do some downsizing, right sizing, right? Classes together where you invite your done lease, they invite theirs. Okay. Think about your audience. Make your event or your seminar to who actually will be buying today. All right. These are everywhere. We already talked about that. All right. Hey. We did. I said I would talk about open houses a little bit. I'm going to give you one tip. I already gave you a tip for getting more open houses, right? You guys heard that. Make a system. Promote yourself to the top agents, right? Be the one that get on there. Second, one simple question, have every open house can up your results if you're not asking. So easy. You may be doing. Do you have a home to sell? Ask everyone who comes in the door. We taught our agents this on our team, and we started getting listings just from that. Which, funny thing, true story, one of our agents reported back that the couple that he listed there, he made an appointment right then. Yes, I do. Oh, well, let's get on the schedule. Can we meet? By the way, always ask for the appointment. But he said, oh my gosh, you've been to 5 open houses and you're the first agent to ask us that today. Do the thing. Do the thing other people aren't willing to do. It seems simple, I know. When people say open houses should be one piece of business, in my mind, because I focus heavily on listings, I always wanted it to produce another listing. Now, for my team, happy they got a buyer out of it, right? And by the way, they were the ones working it. But my goal was that a listing and an open house with a listing give me another listing. We could plan on about 50% of those, right? And we have a listed homes because we asked that question. Simple as that. Okay. You started at the beginning of the class, and I asked you guys, right, what kind of things you're facing right now. And one of them was consistency. So coach tip on that. Promised if I was not going to say color code your calendar. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's not going to help you be consistent.
Right.
So I want you to write down, real quick, Michael, write down a few things that you want to be consistent at. Not a bunch. Write down 3 to 5. That you want to choose to be consistent on. Okay, now prioritize them. One being the very first one, that when you achieve that, everything else is easier. What's the triggering one?
Actually, script,
Right, conversations. Okay, great. So,
knowing what to say when it's here.
yeah, exactly. Great. Okay, so that's your number one priority. Okay, great. So now I want you to think about this. Fit it into your day at a time where nothing else will compete with it, including yourself, your sleep, your family, your dog walking, fill in them. Choose a time where nothing else could possibly compete with it and make it a non-negotiable for you. And I'm just going to ask you to do the next 2 weeks commitment and report back to me. Actually, I'm teaching next Monday. You tell me how it goes.
Unfortunately, I won't be here.
Okay, fine.
But I'll
Come
let you
in.
know.
Yeah, how it goes. Now, I want to tell you a little philosophy I call baby and basketball. This is what happens. My schedule was too busy. I didn't have time to do my script practice, my conversations today. Okay, you didn't have 5 minutes. All day you didn't have 5 minutes. I had 5 minutes. Okay, right? So you didn't have 15 or you didn't have half an hour, but you had 5 minutes.
I love it.
Same thing with Legion. Oh,
You
you
get
crazy
it
week. I
down.
had this appointment, had this closing, had this
Oh,
inspection, I didn't get my agenda. Yeah, 2 hours any day. You didn't have 15 minutes a day.
I see sometimes, and I'm like, listen,
We negotiate ourselves out of it by telling ourselves a story, but the story could be different. You can change your story. Is it true that you always have 5 minutes to spare every single day?
Yes.
There you go. And make it a time where that time isn't competing with something else. And let's see how that goes. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, you guys. Call time, Legion time. Thank you so much. Good to see everyone. I think we lost Melinda. Next week, or excuse me, next class, which I already shared, is all right.
Is lead forward.
We're doing lead forward. That's right. And it's update contacts. So that's going to be good. And we're going to have the wonderful Crystal teaching it. Our AD Services Coordinator Tech Extraordinaire. So we'll see you guys then.
Thank you very much. That was very good.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I'm trying to end this meeting and I clearly can't.
I'll go down to the little button on the bottom to the end.
Oh, I know, but it's not. I wonder. Oh, there we go. It wasn't coming up.